So it's Jack from Diltry. This is my rig rundown. Start with the head. This is a PV 3120. It's quite a rare amp. No one really knows anything about it. Every time someone asks me about it, they've never seen it before. It's the best amp in the world. Sounds the same way. So I've had this for like 8 years now. I think it was just after the 6505, I'm pretty sure. I remember looking it up and I forgot. But Sam managed to get one last year, so we've got matching ones now. He had a triple rectifier, Messer. Just don't compete with this. Do you want me to play a little tiny bit, or is it?
Yeah, go for it. That can be.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean. So, volume obviously irrelevant depending on where we are, but I have my treble always just past 12 o'clock. Mids usually like here 1 out of 10. I think there's 10 on there, or 1 out of 12.
Yeah.
As low as you can get it without it sounding like it's in a different room. Bass I always have around 12 o'clock. I've gone a bit lower today because this room's really feels quite damp. Don't need that up too much. But to be honest, the bass doesn't add more bass to your tone as such. It's more like it'll change. I think it just changes like the frequency of the tone. It doesn't actually add bass to the tone. It doesn't make it lower pitch.
Yeah.
Bass on heads basically. Pretty sure it just doesn't do that. So I always have that around the middle, and then the only two after that is literally the volume and gain. Gain's always just past 12. I used to crank it a bit more and scoop off the tube screamer, but I've decided now, just to avoid noise coming through, keep that as low as I can. There's a couple of settings on the back. Instead of having like a presence, we have this. So you've got tight, mid and loose, and this is similar to a presence. So we keep that on tight usually for live. We had it on loose at the studio because you get a little bit more aggression. Cuss fingers, channel switcher, I don't always use this, but we're playing a new track at this show and I need the clean. So that's the only reason I have that, otherwise I'd never bother with it. Then we've got, some people are confused as to the order I have these in, and I don't use the effects loop, just straight into the input loop. So I've got the noise suppressor there, just the bog standard S2.
Threshold on max.
And I've got the miniature Ibanez tube screamer. I did used to have the bigger one, and then I tried this out, and honestly,
just the same?
Sounds the same to me, or just, I don't know, it's way cheaper as well if you want one. And then for this, I never turn it on. So you've got tone, level, and then your overdrive. I usually have these all around 12 o'clock, but because I've scooped off the gain on the amp, I've got my overdrive a little bit higher today. And I tend to go short to short between the gain on that and the gain I use on that. So if like I'm getting a lot of ground noise in a venue, I'll scoop the gain off on the amp and put that one up, and that usually helps a little bit. And then especially the level top right, so I always sit that at 12 o'clock. If you go any lower, you lose a lot of the ring out, and it'll just cut a bit too soon. Too much that the noise suppressor just can't cope with it. Then I have the super chorus just for a couple of sections. Usually switch this on a couple of breakdowns. Just gives it a little bit more character to the breakdowns. To me, it's a bit heavier on the big, slow, chuggy bits. It gives it a bit more character.
Cool.
And then just the tuner.
Sick.
TU3, nothing to talk about with that really.
And then you got the what's that's just on and off.
This is the Crybaby.
Oh yeah.
So that's the wire I use on two solos. So that's the last thing in the chain.
Cool.
One thing I'd say about that, if you ever use one, is make sure it's plugged in. For some reason, mine hasn't got the power in, or it cuts all signal. I don't know why. I'm not really that much of a gearhead. It's probably really obvious why. So this is the Jackson soloist. I can't even remember the exact model, but it's a Chinese one.
Chrome finish?
Yeah, I got this 2 years ago. This was my first Jackson. I've only just started using it again because we shot a new music video and it's got a lot of fire in it, and I thought the reflections of the fire and shit. And then
It looks sick in the
just
video.
fell in love with it again. I love Seymour Duncans. These are not Pegasus ones. I can't remember what they are. My other one has Seymour Duncan Pegasus in. I'm not sure what model these ones are. And I've sunk this one right in because then I never use this pickup. So this is
Locked off.
no, I use
works.
it.
Yeah,
Use it probably 20 dive bombs in the set. Do have it, and then we do a lot of like the scoops. Do a lot of dive bombs, in the solos and stuff. So yeah, I have to have this active at all times. This never changes. The pickup switcher, it's always there.
Sick.
I'd love to be able to on the clean section, but when the clean kicks in, I've got to turn the chorus on, change the channel, and then turn that up if it did. And it's all like instant. There's no like gap, so I wouldn't be able to do it. Maybe one day I'll get a MIDI, do it all in one, and then I will probably be able to do stuff with this as well. For me, it's just the less I can have, the better. I just don't like having too much gear.
Right.
And then the cab's a massive booby, oversized. Yeah, we do like the Marshall flat face ones if we're renting, just reliable. But that's my favourite cab. We recorded the new stuff with that. Different version of it, but the same thing. Yeah. That's it. That's my rig rundown.
Yo, this is Sam from Guilt Trip, and here's my rig rundown. So first of all, we'll start with the guitar. Myself and Jack both play Jackson. Endorsement with Jacksons, that's all we play. This specific one has become my main guitar. This is a Pro Plus Series one. It's got an Evertune, I think it's Silver Sparkle, I believe it's called. It's very pretty. It's got a bit of gold in there as well, which I think makes it even better. Evertune, amazing. So I used to do only one dive bomb on the set, and Jack does all the rest. And we thought, let's just scrap the dive bomb. I'll just get an Evertune. There's no point in me having a Floyd Rose if it don't really get used. My spare guitar, which is over there in this case, you can't see it, does have a Floyd Rose. Only gets used if I break a string. That's the American Virtuoso Jackson. That one is passive, this one is active. It's been a long time since I've had an active guitar. I believe these are the Fishburne Fluence, I believe it's pronounced, pickups.
Yep.
So they're active. Sounds amazing. Awesome. So I think a lot of people have issues with the initial bending of strings and figuring out how to sort the Evertune out. It's really simple. Really, really simple. You just need to look at one YouTube tutorial, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Really simple. Obviously, you don't need to bend your strings if you don't bend them in these sets, so you can just lock them in fully, whereas we do bend. So if anyone's ever dealt with an Evertune before, obviously I put it on the threshold, just before the threshold even, I can bend over into it. A lot of pinch harmonics, basically. That's the main thing, pinch harmonics. Yeah. But it comes, it's a lifesaver. I just set it up. Well, I restring it. It takes 10 minutes to restring, and it's already in tune. Like until I restring it again, which is every 3 days, 4 days on time. So it's pretty heavy as well. I have another guitar at home. It's not a Jackson, but it has an Evertune. That was the first one I ever got, and I remember picking it up for the first time and thinking like, "Geez, this is heavy." Like as in weight heavy, not playing heavy. They seem to add a lot of weight to a guitar, but
Is it a learning curve for palm muting?
no, I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
Maybe. I mean, I got my first Evertune guitar in like 2019, so I've had it for like 5-6 years now.
Wow.
So I guess not really now. Not that I can remember.
Cool.
But I think it's no different than a Floyd Rose. Obviously, I guess with a Floyd Rose, you try not to touch the pitch as much as possible because you try not to bend it.
Yeah.
You try not to push it down and bend your strings or whatever.
Yeah.
I've got the most basic pedal board setup ever.
Let's have a look at it.
Right, so The reason why there's barely anything on it is, so I've changed my head recently. So I used to use a Mesa Boogie triple rectifier. That was my main head. And then we'd been looking for another one of these, the exact same as what Jack uses, a PV 3120. And they seem pretty rare, and I managed to get one last year. And that is my main amp now. And the Messers, we don't have the Mesa, and I use a 6505 as my backup now. Well, our backup, we share the backup. And I used to have a channel selector. And then we was like, you know what, let's just get rid of that. No channel selector needed. So now I've got all this beautiful space to put cables in my pedal board. And if we're flying, close in there too, why not? So all I've got is Boss tuner, Boss noise suppressor, and the tube screamer.
Similar settings to Jack. Oh, you've got the threshold a little bit lower. He's got his on max.
Yes, on the amp we have pretty much exactly the same cell. We have the same volume, same bass, mids, trebles. I think I have my gain slightly rolled off because I'm active. That's the only difference, is pretty much that. Just the gain rolled off on my amp purely because I have an active guitar. Yeah, if anyone can get this amp, I think it's the best amp I've ever heard in my life.
Well,
like, I don't know anyone else that uses one.
This is my first time seeing one. It's my first time seeing two tonight.
Well, some guy before I had one came up to me at merch when obviously Jack had one at that time, and told me that was his dream amp because apparently Dying Fetus used them.
Oh.
Whether or not
you've sold me.
I've seen Dying Fetus a few times and he wasn't using one then, but maybe in America he does when he didn't have to. But who knows? I have not actually looked to see if anyone specific does use one. But Guilt Trip do. Yeah.
And then your tube screamer is always on?
Always on.
Always on.
Yeah, constantly on. Yeah, it's extremely simple. Just set up, and it's good for pack down and everything. That's pretty much it, and then we don't have specific mics. Obviously, Harvey, our sound guy, for mics in the cabs. It's the first time I'm running two.
You got a 57 and a Sennheiser.
Yeah, and we
609.
normally just run the 57. That's literally it. And then vocal mics. Harvey, what do we use for vocal mics? SE V7s. Nice. I didn't know that.
And you do backups?
Yes, I do quite a few.
And you've got a mic preference for your voice?
No, I've not figured that out yet. We've not fiddled around with enough for me to have a preference, I guess. I just use what's given to me and then don't come back to it. No matter how it is, it'll always flop down on the stand.
And someone will knock it over.
I know, I always have to go like that whilst I'm playing and move it. But that's my rig rundown.
Thank you. Legend, dude.
Cheers, mate.
No worries.